Oh, you press record as well.
Are we
Oh,
live?
yeah.
Hello, and welcome to the next episode of the Living Life Being Human show with myself, Jackie Jones, and I'm going to be doing this podcast with my son, Karl. Which, to start off with, hi, Karl. He's
Hello.
sat in the room in the house. The internet was a bit of a pain, so apologies for being late. But first off, I wanted to just do a bit of a trigger warning because I am going to be talking with Karl about my recent cancer diagnosis and how that's impacting on me and my family in the hopes that it could support and help other people that are going through something similar. You know me, I'm an open book and I share all my thoughts and feelings across social media quite happily. So if you've got any questions, then feel free to ask me. And other than that, we just thought we would share with you some of our experiences over the past few weeks and months.
Yeah, I just thought it'd be nice to, because I know a lot of people are going through what we're going through, and cancer's a bit of a taboo subject, isn't it? After a diagnosis, just speaking to my friends, no one really knows whether to talk about it, whether to not talk about it, or you know, um, whether people want to talk about it or whether it's. So I just thought we'd sort of open up about our experience so far and just let people know that it's all right to talk about it. Well, for us anyway. Like we talk about it most days. It's not the sort of big pink elephant in the room with us.
No, not at all.
I know some people it might be different. So obviously you're a psychotherapist. I thought, because I just mentioned yesterday, didn't I? We've literally not been offered any mental health support at all, really. To
No,
say it's such a massive, impact on your life, and for some people it's terminal, and it's just we've not been offered any support at all, really, and
no.
financial as well. So it can be a massive burden for a lot of people to carry on their own.
Well, that's it.
Um,
And with COVID being the way that it is at the moment, a lot of people that are going through this are having to go through treatment on their own because you can't have anybody with you now. Um, so that on top of everything else, if you are living on your own and you want some support, it can be a nightmare. Lucky for me, I've got, you live with me. I've got family and friends around me, but I'm really positive about this and the outcome. Physically, there's not a lot I can do about it other than go through the treatment that they've suggested to me. But mentally, I think there's an awful lot that we can do for ourselves with a positive mindset and what we can do outside of the physical symptoms that are going on.
so, how did you feel when you first got diagnosed?
I did a post on this. This is a really weird one because I just felt really ashamed and guilty for some strange reason. And I still haven't got to grips with why that was. I don't know. And then my initial thought was for my clients and how it was going to impact on them and can I continue working and the practical stuff like that.
Yeah, you've been like that the whole time. Before every post, you're always worried about what anyone else thinks. Should I post this in case someone else gets triggered by it? And it's like, well, hang on. And it wasn't until I said, well, you posting about it might help someone actually going through this,
Yeah.
rather than always thinking this might upset someone else. And I'm like, it's your cancer, you're the one with cancer. Stop worrying about whether people, how they're going to react to what you post or what you say, or,
But
and
that's the
even,
weird thing. It literally, I just felt really awkward. And, anybody that follows me will have seen my original post that I put up about my diagnosis. And the reason why I did that was because it was easier for me to just put it out there than to individually explain to each client as I was seeing them um, what I'm going through. And you might have noticed I've had my hair cut short and it's going to be even shorter tomorrow because one of the side effects of the chemo that I'm having is I will lose my hair. So it's a bit of a giveaway on Zoom. And it is a trigger for clients. For some clients that I'm seeing, my appearance is going to change. It doesn't matter how healthy I feel and how positive I am, just what people are seeing is going to be a trigger for them. And that to me has been one of the hardest things to come to terms with.
is the fact that that's going to trigger other people.
Yeah, and I know we you said earlier on about it's not a big pink elephant in the room, But when you're in a therapy session with somebody, it is a big pink elephant in the room, and the therapy isn't about me. And that's one of my main concerns. It still is now with clients. You know, my clients have been so supportive, really supportive. You know, I've warned them that I might need to reschedule or cancel appointments, and they've been brilliant. But there's no getting away from the fact that I have cancer, and it is going to be a third thing in the room with us. And I'm still not sure how it's going to pan out over the next few weeks and months.
No. So with someone who has a diagnosis, what can they do to sort of, offload? Because sometimes I don't know if you're just putting on a brave face for us or whether you actually are all right. And say you are that person that's putting on a brave face, they might not want to, break down, especially if it's like, the bloke of the family or,
Yeah.
the big macho person. Where do they need? What can they do to go and get help if they don't want to open up to their friends and family?
Well,
What sort of stuff?
there is Macmillan is brilliant. You know, it's funny. I know Facebook has a wonderful way of posting things in front of you that you've clicked on. But literally my Facebook is full of Macmillan, and they do have forums, they do have chat rooms where people can go in there, and I'm sure there is support out there for people. But speaking to somebody that's kind of not invested in your life, that you can be honest and open with them and share anything that's going on for you is going to be a bonus. And if that's seeing a psychotherapist or a counsellor, or somebody that isn't actually involved in the family, or maybe even your treatment, I think that's going to be a positive thing for everybody and family members as well. I think I've said it to you before now, it's easy for me because I know what I'm going through. I know the treatment, I know how I feel. It's the people around me that just bystanding and watching whatever's happening, and it's kind of like you're out of control. I still feel quite in control of everything. So maybe it's more, how are you feeling about it? Who do you need to talk to?
Well, that's the other thing, isn't it? It's like it's a bit like a nuclear bomb, isn't it? There's like fallout and people around you, and
Yeah.
How they react and stuff, and what sort of support can people around them get as well? What should they be doing? What questions should the family be asking the person? Whether how do they open up that conversation? Because if one of my friends or family, obviously not you but someone else, had cancer, it is sometimes awkward, asking them how they are, or whether they want to talk about it, or.
Well, we have a really good relationship. I think I have a really good relationship with all three of my kids. The last one, the teenager, at times it's a bit hit and miss, to be fair. But we've always been really honest. And, one of the things that I would say to anybody, whether it's a family member or the person that's actually going through it, is, really be honest with yourself about what it is that you want. And literally lay your cards on the table. If you're not wanting to talk about it 24/7, then let people know, I know you're here for me, and if I need anything, I'll ask you. But other than that, we just carry on as normal. But you yourself have got to know what it is that you want. And that's me as, the one with cancer, and you as a family member. I think it's about just being really completely honest with each other. We share a lot, and I don't know how much it is that you want to hear from me. I'm absolutely fine for people to ask me questions. Anybody can ask me questions. I'm not going to give lots of information off my back. But if somebody says to me, how are you? I'll probably 99% of the time say I'm fine, because I am.
That's the other thing. If you do ask someone and like you say, I'm fine, how would you get below that initial, the weather's nice, isn't it? And yesterday I took the kids to the park. And if you do want to open up that conversation and let your friends and family know, well, hang on, let's go a bit deeper, are you actually okay? What's the best way to sort of get through that small talk and actually get to trying to help someone?
By being honest. One of the things I say a lot in therapy and online is it's about being alongside somebody while they're going through their journey. Nobody can do this for me. Do you know what I mean? It's my journey. And like I said, I'm really positive about it and I'm taking each day as it comes. But to have somebody alongside me that I know, no matter what, I can just pick up the phone. If I'm having a shit day, I can just let them know I'm having a shit day. But underneath it, I'm okay. It's okay for me to have good days and bad days and still be okay throughout it, if that makes sense. But
Mm.
the physical stuff is out of my control. But the way I am about my mindset and my mental health, that's 100% down to me. But being authentic, being honest, being you know out there with it, to me is the only way to be with most mental health things. Because if we if we don't let people in, that's usually when we get annoyed and frustrated because we think people don't care. And it's hard to be vulnerable, whether that's around mental health, whether that's around illness or chronic disease or anything. you know Being vulnerable takes an awful lot of courage, and I think that's the bit that a lot of people struggle with.
Yeah, that's the other thing. How does someone remain positive when they're going through this?
I can only talk about how I do it. Literally, I'm in the moment. In this moment, I am okay. It's kind of like, going back to before I was diagnosed. I just wanted to know. I'm one of those people that I need to know the facts. Once I've got the facts, I'm all right with it. Not knowing is the worst thing for me. So it's kind of like when somebody said, yes, it's stage 3C ovarian cancer. I was okay with that. It was like, okay, now what do we do? It wasn't a shock to me at all, but when I know what's ahead of me, the only thing that changed from the moment I found out my diagnosis was somebody had told me. My health hadn't changed the day before to what it was when they told me. Nothing in my life had changed other than somebody had actually said, you've got cancer.
Yeah,
And that's what I say to an awful lot of my clients is nothing's changed other than you're thinking about it.
that's been the worst thing for me as well. Is you give all your control to the doctor in with the diagnosis, and you've all through this process you've always been the last person to find out.
Yeah,
And we've suspected this for months, but no one would actually tell you categorically, yes, this is what you've got.
yeah,
They're like, oh, we need a bit more results and we need a bit more of this. And it's like everyone was tiptoeing around the subject rather than just saying, actually, this is the blood mark you've got, which is a sign of this. On the CT scan, it's looking like it is this. They just, oh, it's nothing to worry about. And then,
well, it
like,
was really interesting because because of COVID again, it has been a nightmare for the medical people as well as me. So a lot of it was done via phone calls. And the first thing that they all said when they spoke to me was, how much do you already know?
yeah,
And my answer to that was, well, I've Googled it. But like you say, nobody would actually come out and say anything for weeks and weeks. It was the not knowing that did my head in more than anything else.
and even on Thursday, you turned up for chemo. You're meant to be going every week, and the guy said, "Oh, you come in every 3 weeks now,"
Yeah,
and no one's even told you that. No one, that's the first you heard about it when they're literally hooking up to the chemo. Oh, actually, it's every 3 weeks now. And
yeah,
I was on the phone saying, ask him to double check. And I think the poor guy had to go and check 3 times because we're like,
you did.
no one's told you that your whole treatment plan's changed now.
Yeah.
Literally when they're hooking you up to the thing, and I think that's disgraceful. So
Well,
it's no wonder people feel so out of control because
yeah,
they're not even told what's going on. Never mind trying to make life saving or changing decisions for themselves. And
yeah. It
so
it is
it,
difficult, but
it, it must be easy to feel overwhelmed by this because, like I said, you're almost taking out the loop completely, and you're just putting your lives in someone else's hands, just turning up for the meetings. They tell you exactly what's going on. There's not many other things in life where someone literally is telling you everything that's going on with you and your body, isn't it? And you've just
yeah.
got to turn up and just go along with it.
But
And
I
it's
think
almost, it's
that's
almost like they've not asked you, do you want this? Do you want that? It's just like you turn up, you sit in the seat, you do what we tell you, sort of thing. So, what would you say about Well, I feel a lot more in control of your treatment, which is strange because I've been reading a million books about it all. So if
Yeah.
it was me with a diagnosis, I'd feel a lot more in control now because I feel like there's a few little things we can help to move the needle in our favour. But
Well, that's it. There's a lot. And, to be fair to anybody listening to this, I think in the space of a week, you read 7 books on cancer. You've got to be in your bonnet with it. And, it isn't just the sledgehammer approach that the NHS offer that we're doing. My diet has radically changed and I'm taking supplements and, we don't want to go down the medication route and everything, but we're doing a lot more besides the chemo to work on this, which again has put me feeling like I'm in control of it. But the NHS is on its bloody knees, to be fair. The chemo ward that I was on was full and there was 3 members of staff on there looking after everybody. It's, COVID, the knock-on effect of everything now, I think it is difficult. So, and as far as what they're doing, it might sound a bit weird, but I'm okay with them telling me what I need to do and just following that, knowing that we're doing things outside of that's only going to make my chances even better. This to me is just a process. Somebody said that I've got cancer. I still don't feel unwell. I still feel exactly the same as what I did
you
before.
keep saying you feel like a fraud because
I
you're
do.
not
I feel like
ill
a fraud. And I, as a psychotherapist, I'm not sure whether that's me in denial or not, because I feel absolutely fine. The chemo knocked me for 6. I'm shattered. But take that out of the equation and everything is just as it was. So, it's about you feeling that you have the right to ask questions. I think that's the big thing for me. If you are in a room with, medical professionals, yes, they know their job, but it's your body and it's okay for you to ask questions.
Yeah, we had a few eye rolls and dirty looks when I started questioning about stuff, and it seems like the medical profession has got a completely different view on it than the scientific, and they don't want to come at it from all angles or even accept that there's a different way than, like you say, the chemo, radiation, and the nuclear bomb attack.
Yeah. Which, it works, it does its thing, but it's at what cost for some patients. Like I said, the surprising thing for me is that whenever we've been to a meeting, they've always said that I'm young and healthy, and it's like, well, I don't feel very young and I've got cancer, so how does that work? But that's what they keep saying, that I can undergo this treatment because I am young and healthy. But for others that maybe are at a later stage or aren't as young or as healthy, I think it's really important that you feel, empowered to ask questions about what your treatment is. I got a book with symptoms of things, that we check in whether my temperature's up or what's going on and everything, so that we can check in whether there's anything going wrong. But, my heart just goes out to people that are living through this on their own. I'm lucky I've got you here. Michelle was here when I had my first chemo. But the thought of going through this if I was on my own, that's not nice.
No. So how does someone remain positive then? I know you've spoke about yourself, but thinking about other people that maybe wake up feeling, negative, or what's the point, or because it sounds horrible, but they can become hard to be around as well if the family, if every time they're going around it's, just negative and they're not willing to try different treatments or read books, and, a lot of people don't realize there's loads of other things you can be doing to help your body than literally just going for the treatment. It's a whole encompassing thing, isn't it, that you can do to help yourself.
It's difficult and it's hard because we're talking about cancer here, but any life event.
Sorry, and also how important is a positive mindset when you're going through this?
100%.
It's almost detrimental to your body and your mental health to just stay in that negative mindset. I know, God, I'm not saying it's easy, but once you slip into that negative mindset, it's actually really detrimental to actually getting through this, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And, as human beings, we are defaulted to negativity. That's what we do. It's our survival mechanism. We always want to know the what ifs, worst case scenario, all that sort of stuff. But if you can, switch it around, and like I said, it doesn't matter whether it's cancer or any life event, a separation, divorce, a death, whatever it is, if we can look at things positively, then physically we will feel better. That's it's awful. And I know that people who are depressed, it's not that they just go to bed and can't be bothered to get up. It is really difficult if you suffer from depression, particularly if you haven't got anybody around. But it's more about what you can do rather than what you can't do. And if you can start to focus on the little things that you can do. When I spoke to somebody with some symptoms that I was having today, he asked me if I can get up in the morning and get myself washed and dressed. We're talking basic stuff here. That, if you can be positive about that, then that's just the start. We don't need to climb mountains. You were talking about some chap that was training for a marathon while he was going through chemo. And I'm like, yeah. What the flipping, no, cat and L's chance. I'm struggling to walk around the block sometimes. But it's not about comparing yourself to others. It's about you being the best that you can be with what you're going through, and finding somebody that you can talk to about whatever it is that you're feeling. You will have good days. You will have bad days. Don't generalize things. It's about taking each and every moment as it happens. Summer's coming, the sun's shining, sitting in the garden, just feeling the warmth of the sun on your face is enough to lift your mood. And, it's scientifically proven that if we are positive, if we have a positive mindset, then symptoms lessen. Mm-hmm. There's some amazing studies out there about positivity.
The thing that always blows my mind is the placebo study, is the fact that you can take two groups of people, and this is the biggest challenge to get a new medication through, is a placebo study.
Yeah.
Because you can give a group of people a sugar pill and they'll get better. And there's no bigger, confirmation that the mind is capable of healing itself. When you give a group of people suffering from a certain illness a sugar pill and they get better.
Yeah.
And that's why some medications are so hard. Oh, sorry about that.
I think it's just being open to that possibility. Not having a closed mindset that this is bad, this is really bad. If we're just open, just a little crack open, that there is a possibility that being positive and having a positive mindset can impact on us physically and obviously mentally in a really good way with whatever's going on in your life.
So especially your immune system's so susceptible to positivity, just getting out and about. If you can only walk around the block, just getting out every day and walking on the block, if that's all you can manage after chemo and stuff, then that's a great place to start, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
Eating healthy, it all, doing some hobbies and stuff like, just anything that can take your mind off what you're going through and add to positivity.
I think distraction is good, but it's about, if people are trying to distract themselves 24/7, they become exhausted then by doing too much. It's okay to sit with your feelings. It's okay to feel down. It's okay to feel sad and unhappy. A feeling is a feeling and it will pass. So it's not about, shying away from whatever it is that's going on for you. It's finding the people around you that you can lean on, finding the people around you that you can talk to when you're having a bad day, and they're not going to automatically assume that it's really, really bad.
Yeah. And the support groups as well. There's local cancer support groups. And I've been saying to you, you're on a Facebook group, and there's women in there that have been through what you're going through, and they've come out the other side. And I think that'd be such an amazing person to have in your life. Maybe they're not a close friend, maybe it's just some random person you can go offload to, completely speak your mind. But if it's someone going through this, something similar to you, or like I said, they've been through it, as long as it's not going to be a trigger for them and they're happy to help you through that, I think that'd be an amazing support as well.
Yeah. So that was the point of tonight, was just to kind of I don't know, knock down a
I'll
few
have a look.
barriers maybe.
I'll see if there's any questions. No questions. Yeah, no, there's no questions.
But feel free to message me. You can message me or you can email me, Jackie at jackiejones.co.uk, or on any of my social media. And I will be talking openly. Yes, that's the wonderful book. That was the first book that Karl bought, How to Starve Cancer by Jay McKellen.
This is like the third book, but I've read a lot. Here we go. There's lots of help out there.
Yeah. This was the first week.
There's podcasts, there's YouTube videos, there's scientists studying this stuff day in, day out, and their research is not getting out to the masses or to the medical profession. And some of it sounds bonkers, like taking turmeric, and people hear it and think that's a load of rubbish. And the modern media will spin it that is a load of rubbish, but there's real science behind this stuff. There's studies been run about turmeric, and that it actually helps people because it's got anti-inflammatory properties, and there's loads of stuff out there. And maybe that'll increase your percentage of getting through this by 2%, but that's 2%, positive effect. If you can add 10 or 20 different things like this, that's just increasing, your positive effect by 1 or 2% every time, and it's a bit of turmeric. Why not add that into your life? Or some broccoli, there's been studies on broccoli. It sounds crazy, I know it does. Even listening back to this, it just sounds crazy. But honestly, there's so much science behind this stuff. And if you can move the needle just 1 or 2% with each different thing you bring into your life, go for it.
Well, to be perfectly honest, when you start talking like this, all I think is that you've got nothing to lose.
Exactly.
It is what it is. And like I said, it's putting a little bit of control back on our side on what I'm eating. One of the main things is that cancer feeds off sugar. Cut sugar out. That's it. Just that one simple thing can increase your chances, because that's what cancer needs to divide and grow and feed or whatever. It's a simple thing, but not one person has ever told us that.
The first thing a doc says is just eat whatever you want to feel good.
Have a piece of cake. And I really do want to have a piece of cake, but I haven't had one.
No.
So we'll finish it there. And like I said, feel free to ask me any questions. I will probably be back talking about this. And, I appreciate it if you've listened to this from the end, and follow me on my journey and see where it leads us.
Yep. Nice to speak to you.
Speak
Hopefully
to you soon.
Someone.
Bye. Bye.